Three, two, one. Hello, Veronika. Nice
Hello,
to see you.
Marty.
Thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much.
And so to get straight into it, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Veronika. I'm from Croatia. I am 25, and I work as a teacher. I'm also still a student, actually, but yeah, I love languages. I love traveling. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. Okay. And with your study and with your work, which do you prefer?
Oh, I don't know. I think it goes hand in hand.
Okay, how's that?
Uh, yeah, I mean, I don't know. You have to do what you have to do. I'm still not done with uni, but I wanted to start working, um, kind of not anymore these like odd jobs, but start working with what I like, that is languages, and I guess yeah, it goes hand in hand. I mean, teaching and learning, it's yeah, always goes together, right?
For sure, for sure.
Yeah.
And so, would you say that that was your biggest motivation for starting teaching, that you wanted to get a foothold, so to speak, in that industry, in that niche of, okay, now I know what I'm doing, and to figure out if you actually like it?
Yes, I think so. Even though I think that I maybe knew that I would like this always, but nobody really told me. You know how some people, I always heard for some people in my uni, in my surroundings, they would be like, "Oh, you're such a teacher," but that was never
Okay.
something that people told me ever, ever. I don't know. They would say to other people, "Oh, I can totally see that for you," but they never told it. They
Not for
never
you.
told me this. No, but later
Okay.
I realized that, it's not about other people. I don't know. I guess I just felt it. And I really like working with people. I don't know, I would be thinking about if I want to go into translating or something like that, but it's a very like lonesome type of work, and I don't really think it's something for me. I don't know. Have you done translating or stuff like that before, or just teaching? But it's very just lonesome, you and your computer all of the time, and really, I don't know, teaching gives me more energy, I feel.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Seeing somebody else's facial expressions and seeing that oh moment. Definitely.
Yes,
Definitely.
yes, yes, definitely.
For sure.
Mm.
I have to answer your question. I have done a little bit of translating and a little bit of proofreading and those types of things. And on the one hand, it's great because you don't really need to schedule a time with somebody, and you can just do it from your bed, for instance, or you can just do it in your
Yeah.
free time. And from that perspective, it's even more flexible. But then, like you said, you don't really get that fulfillment from it. I feel you don't really
Mm.
get that I did something for somebody, but it's more of a, okay, just ticking a box. Okay, I need this translated, that done for this document. And it feels more automatic, more technical, maybe
Maybe
than,
for us,
yeah.
yeah. I just maybe we're the type of people. For us, it's
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, it's non-fulfilling, but for other people, I'm sure it's not like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course.
True.
Especially if you do other types of translating and stuff like that. Not just the boring type. I mean,
Yeah.
the boring type
That's a
is
fair
boring
point.
to everybody, I believe. It should
Okay.
be. Yeah, I don't know.
Fundamental truths. Nice.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Mm.
So you've always been, okay, I'm going to be a teacher when I grow up. That was always the dream. Or did you go through the phases of, okay, I want to be a princess, and then I want to be a singer, and then
Uh-huh.
and then a teacher? What was your process?
Oh no, I always wanted to be an actress. I was like, I want attention. I think that was the thing when I was a
Yeah.
child, maybe. Yeah.
Definitely. And do you think teaching fulfills that attention?
Honestly, I feel like I could be like an idiot sometime, and I like making students laugh. And yeah, that's my favorite. It's like, do you like me? Do you like me? You know, a bit like that when I feel
Okay, putting
like
them on the
when
spot a little bit.
no, definitely, definitely.
Okay,
And I have no
okay.
shame, no shame regarding
That's
that.
perfectly good.
Zero. Hmm.
And do you prefer working with adults then, or do you work with children too?
Yes, I work with both. I mean, mm, I like working with both, definitely. With adults, it's a different thing. I like when I have some students that are really interested in languages in general, that are not just trying to learn a language that I teach. They're just interested in general. So then there's a lot to talk about. Then I learn a lot from them as well. That's what I feel. I don't know. With kids, it's rewarding in a different way. And also you learn like the things that are beneficial to them are different to things that are beneficial for adults and stuff like that. I don't know how you feel about that. You also teach
I
children or
I did for quite some time.
mm,
I figured it's not really my personality though.
mm,
And I feel like this stems from a very funny place because when I was growing up, I always thought that the one profession that I never ever want to be in is teaching, ironically,
really?
because I did not really feel what my peers were feeling. I always felt, why are you doing that? That's so, immature, and why? And
Mm.
I never really felt that environment. And so I thought, no, I could never do that. And
Wow,
here we are, ironically. But
that's
so
crazy.
I did teach kids for a while, but I figured over time that it was just not really my thing. I
Hmm.
mean, it's like you said, it's a very different level of fulfilling, especially when you see that it's such a fundamental skill from a very young age, and it's super, super important to start right, especially since we see so many schools not doing it right. So then
Of
having that
course.
almost responsibility of,
Oh
okay, I'm
yeah.
setting you up for future success, which is huge, I would say. But I mean, going through their personalities and their way of behaving and grabbing their attention, I suppose, was super challenging. And
Aha.
I figured that it was more of the adult side that I should stick to.
Aha. Do you suffer when children are not interested? Do you feel like you have to be like, "Mm, listen to me," or what's yeah.
Yeah, I felt that I would have to, I don't know, have puppets, and I don't know,
Aha.
have some weird drawings and then those types of things, which I understand some people love that, and I do see a lot of teachers really enjoying that, but I
Hmm.
never really saw that in myself. And especially if I
Hmm.
say something and then they ask me again, and then I say it again, and then they ask me again, and then I say it again, and then 5 seconds later they ask me again and I
Aha.
say it again, and it's
Oh,
just
but
that,
they ask you. That's a big deal.
yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. Is
I
that
feel
not
like
standard?
most of the time when well, I guess this is a different thing, but when I would ask you, do you understand this? Of course they will say yes. They will never say no. No, I don't
No.
understand. No, 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 no. You just always assume that they don't.
Yeah,
For
yeah.
adults as well, of course, because if you ask, do
I
you
was going
understand
to
this?
say
They'll,
that's not very
oh yeah,
different.
sure. Yeah, that's not very different. So, mhm.
And how do you deal with that? How do you deal with that? Okay, yes, I understand. And then you can see, I don't think you do. How do you deal with that?
I guess I don't know. I don't think I have issues with that. I just slow down It's even better because I feel like it teaches me to be more like intentional, going down a notch, you know, not being more slow and everything. Yes, yes, yes. It definitely keeps me in check. I feel like it's equally as okay, let's go back and
Definitely.
fix it. Yeah, no, I don't mind at all. It's a good thing, I think.
And do
Yeah.
you find it easy to take something that might seem somewhat obvious and then seeing that, okay, perhaps it's not, and like you said, bringing it down, does that come
This
easily
is
to you? Or is it more of
oh,
a, oh, okay, how do I explain this in a different way?
for sure, this is something I still, of course, I'm working on a lot because I've been teaching for less than a year now. So, this is like a characteristic of all young teachers, I believe. You think that something is obvious, but it's really not. It's like, no, 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 let's go back from zero, truly from zero. Well, it was something difficult to understand. Like people, my one of my mentors, let's say, she would tell me, no, 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 you don't understand, they don't know, they don't understand this. Do you think they really understand this? I would be like, I'm not sure. Or not understand, but no, do you think that they learned this? And I would be
Yeah,
like, well, yeah, I mean, we did it, so they must learn it.
right.
She's like, no, no, no. No, exactly not. Like things last time, things need more time for sure. Like
Definitely,
times 10 of what I thought, maybe. Of
definitely.
course, of course. I used to, of course, bombard students. I mean, not bombard, but because I do have a like a feeling for it, I think. But in my head, it's really too much now that I look back. It's they say something like 7 units of information per class, like new things that you can
Right.
provide for a learner to learn that class, and everything else is practicing and repolishing and going back, fixing the little holes in knowledge and everything.
Right.
It's not just like, here is this and now you have it, so that means that you learned it. Of course it's not like that, but it is something you, I guess, go through as you teach more and more and you
For sure.
realize, oh yes, okay. Yes,
Definitely.
I
Definitely.
feel like everything takes way longer. Also with um lesson planning, you know, I would really go overboard with everything.
Yeah.
We'll do this, we'll do that, we'll throw in some other fun stuff. We end up doing like 1/5 of that, and truly that's not bad, that's excellent. Really just minimizing it down as
Definitely.
much as you can. That's what I feel like I'm learning right now the most.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. But that's a very interesting observation. And I noticed that with myself as well, especially starting from the TEFL course that I did. And then they had this lesson planning section. And okay, let's say you start with a little warm up, 5 minutes, and then you do this, and then you do a review and then an exercise. And I thought, okay, I've got this. And I would do the same, like you said, okay, 5 minutes for this, 5 minutes for this, 2 minutes for this. And I was like, yes, okay, we're gonna do it.
Hmm.
And like you said, we get to the end of the class and I think, oh no, we only went through like two of these things because
Yes.
we, like you said, we came back to this, you asked me some questions, maybe we went on a bit of a separate topic because it's so related. And then, okay, yes, that makes sense that we would go in this other direction as well. And then, like you said, we get to the end and okay, well, I guess we've got three other lessons prepared already from this. So
Yeah, it's always like a
definitely,
nice, oh yes, great.
right?
Actually, it's not that bad. Yeah, it's not that bad. I
Definitely.
feel like I definitely agree. I definitely have the same experience with that for sure. And also like building up on, let's say you have like one idea for a topic of classes. Like I remember once I tried to do like lesson planning for like a conversational type of class that was related around dating. And I had so many different, really actually cool like types of activities. But what I had was actually gold, you know, like there's so much you could do with that. But I was like, yes, we're gonna throw all of this into like an hour and a half of how long that class was. Actually, of course, that's too much. And when you have one piece that I started with, that was actually like my warm up, that should have been like the entire class, because you can do so many
Okay.
things with just one activity. Like you could do lots of activity based on one thing, um which I feel like is always good, because when students have too much like let's say like two pictures, three exercises,
Right.
and this and that, of course it's they have to, at the end of the class, they have to know uh to say like what they did that day, right? They have to be like,
Right.
I learned this and that. That's always
Right.
kind of the objective, but it's very difficult to reach it. I don't know how
Definitely.
I feel like it always I go back and forth with a lesson planning, and really it takes me such a long time every time, and I'm always like, is this the reality of being a teacher, or or am I just too young? Maybe later it will be quicker. I'm not sure. I still don't know, actually. I still don't know. Do
Sure.
you find
Sure.
your like preparations, do they last more? Do you feel like you're more efficient now with your time? What do you feel?
Definitely, it certainly gets better. So it's not always going to be this way. As a little
Wow.
word of the wise.
Yes.
But honestly, it's been such an incredible progression, because at the beginning was like, okay, we're going to do this, this, and that. And then as time went on, I started making more of my own materials, because I'd find that, okay, there's a little bit, let's say, on this website and a little bit on this website, but I'm not a huge fan of how they explained it or the pictures that they use. And I don't think it's the cleanest or the clearest way to explain something. So I'd go into over time making more and more of my own materials. And as
Mhm.
that progressed, then I didn't really have to prepare as much for each individual lesson, because then, okay, I know that I need to work on, for example, tenses with this student, and I've got everything that I need for tenses. So,
Mhm.
job
Mhm.
well done in 2 seconds of, okay, I've got this, I've got that done.
Yes, yes,
Sometimes
yes.
it does take a little bit more time, especially if it's more of a specialized topic. If, let's say, we're working on an interview, or if we're working on a specific business presentation for, let's say, I had one student who was working in aviation. And then we were going through some of his presentations, some of his speeches that he had to do, some of his, let's say, meeting reviews, and so on. And so the vocabulary there, of course, is very specific, and the
Yeah.
structures are very specific. So from that perspective, it does take a little bit more time. But for the more quote unquote common topics, let's say tenses or phrasal verbs, and a lot of these other common problems that people face, it's more of a,
Mhm.
okay, I've got all the materials that I need, we're ready to go.
Mhm.
And then, I mean, with time and with that practice, you learn your scripts, I suppose, or at least that's what I've noticed, that I
Mhm.
have a certain way that I explain, let's say, the present perfect. And I notice every time that I explain it that it's basically the same way. And it's almost like I've
Yes.
memorized a script for myself.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then, okay, I know how I'm going to explain this. I know how we're going to be talking about this. I know some typical questions that I might get asked. I know how I'm going to answer these questions. So then it's really, like you said, a matter of that practice, of that time of, okay, I've done it 100 times. The 101st time is just going to be smooth sailing.
Yes, definitely. It does take just I guess then the time to get to that place.
Sure.
Yeah. But also a lot of students are very different. Um yeah, I don't know, like I have like some students that get so easily distracted, like for them,
Okay.
for example, some types of just exercises where you practice a certain form is not that beneficial. They don't, but for some it is. And for me to give them like a homework of that type, for some of them it is beneficial, but for some it's really not. They get more confused even. Yes, that's what I'm always a little bit, oh, I don't like that when when a student, well, not that I don't like it, I just I'm having a like a little bit of a hard time with that when a student, for example, speaks English, let's say, at a okay level. But the thing is, now is the first time when they learned English in any kind of structured way. It's a completely different story. So now they're like, what is this? What is that? They're asking questions like, how do I say yesterday? And they said like that word 2 minutes ago. You know, it's a complete like train wreck sometimes when it reaches to that point. And
Okay.
with these types of students, I've had like a couple that are maybe like that. I always have a difficult time because I feel like I'm not helping. I'm doing the opposite sometime, which I
Okay.
know is not actually the reality after some time, because some time needs to pass and everything. But the frustration that some students have in the end is really difficult to kind of encourage them uh
Right.
um because I also feel discouraged sometimes. I'm like I'm always, I seem like I'm not, but then I'm like you literally know this worse than you did, I don't know, like last time. I feel like now, I don't know,
Oh,
honestly.
okay. And how do
I
you
don't
deal with
know.
that? How do you get over that? That, okay, this was maybe not the best day ever. How do
Hmm.
you process that?
Hmm. Well, I don't know, because I feel like I'm generally pretty positive, so it's not like that big of a deal. Okay, like it's a little bit of a like a rough patch, but every time, let's say one class is like a train wreck, even though that never really actually happens, like an actual train wreck. But but let's say it's
Hopefully
like not
not.
the best, most fun and everything. The next one will be a little bit of a headache. But then after that one, it's already a little bit clearer. The difficult times are already paying off a little bit. It's I know that it will get to that point. It just, you know, is a little bit always. It's also just the psychological side, because for some people you really have to be like a psychologist. Be like, no, you're not dumb. You're absolutely not dumb.
Yeah.
It's for half of these people really were just people learning languages in general, they sometimes are really worried. And the more, actually, the more I feel like the more somebody is self-aware, the more they care is just sometimes worse. Because they're like,
Definitely.
oh no, I don't want to sound like an idiot. But it's so important to sound like an idiot, you know? So important. But I know this, but then I make that mistake as well, and I have the same fears, of course, as
Yeah, of
everybody else. So
course.
it's just normal. I know that everything is just normal, and it will be better,
Yeah. Yeah,
basically.
definitely.
Yeah.
You touched on two very, very important things here. I would say, first of all, like you said, that psychological side of it, that, and I find that this is so common, and I never really expected that at the very beginning, that, oh, everything's going to be great, everybody's going to be super positive. But then, like you said, I find that so many people have that self-conscious, oh, okay, no, I said this and that's horrible and I can't do it and I'm terrible at English and I can't speak English. No, we've been having a conversation for 45 minutes and you said
Yeah.
one thing wrong and all of a sudden you can't speak. So I do
Yes.
find, like you said, that it's a little bit of that. No, just reminding them that, okay, well, you said that thing wrong and that's true. Okay, let's fix it. That's why we're here. That's why you're spending this time with me. Let's learn from that and let's move on. But you're not terrible. You're not bad. You're not the worst ever speaker that walked this earth. So definitely, definitely a
Yeah,
little bit of that gentle push forward that, okay, you're going to be fine.
for
Everything's going to
sure.
be okay.
For
Definitely,
sure. Yeah,
definitely.
that's just the little comforting. It's something that just must be done. But also, I feel like I want to like elate them. I want to motivate them. But sometimes it's
Yeah,
very difficult, and it just doesn't go like that. Which is fine ultimately. Ultimately, some people have to learn a language because they have to also.
yeah,
And some people have to learn a language or have want to learn.
yeah,
So those things are also very different. And basically, when when things don't work out, when students are young, uninterested, I don't know, you maybe have
yeah.
like a um I don't know, 10 to 14-year-olds or something.
Yeah.
It's a very
And their
interesting
parents
age.
made them take a class.
Yes, of course. And you're like, but it's not the reaction you're getting back.
No, no, it is not.
Yes. Then sometimes it just has to be like, okay, I did the best I can. Ultimately, it's not on me. It is on them a little bit. It's like you did your job, but now it's, in their hands. Yeah,
Definitely.
I
I
feel
found
like
that the
that.
best solution, I don't suppose it's a solution, but maybe a workaround to that kind of situation is to state the obvious. And I
Mhm,
found that a lot of, like you said, those, let's say 10, 15,
mhm,
more or less age really appreciate that. That, okay, like you said, hi, how are you doing? And that smile and they're, hi.
mhm.
And
How are
then,
you?
okay,
Good.
well, I know that you maybe don't necessarily want to be here, maybe that your parents made you take a class. I acknowledge that. I understand that you didn't go here yourself and you didn't, type in your credit card and then so on. I understand that. So just tell
Yeah.
me what you need, what I can help you with. Maybe you have a test coming up, or maybe you are not feeling super comfortable with this, and acknowledging them as though they are responsible for themselves and as though they're the adult learner that, let's say, that we're used to teaching. And okay,
Mhm,
what can I do for you? What do you feel? How are you struggling at school potentially? Or what are you
mhm,
doing at school? Maybe we can talk about that. Maybe you can tell me how your teacher explained this to you. And maybe you have some questions. Maybe that's not fully making sense. So instead of, trying to be that um, fake positive, perhaps a little
mhm.
bit sometimes, just
Yeah,
okay, I know that this is maybe not the best way that you want to spend your time, but we're here. So let's
yeah.
make the best of it.
Yes, definitely. Just yeah, more this realm is more like tutoring at this point. But that's also fine. But another thing is then also they feel like you're the teacher, you're the
Yeah,
same teacher at school. You're
yeah,
like you're gonna give them a bad grade, you're gonna
yeah,
talk to their parents. It's the same kind
yeah,
of thing in the other day, or unless you have like a nice connection with the student,
right.
then they know that they can trust you, and then it's another story, of course. But
Definitely.
yeah, unfortunately, you don't get that with everybody. So
No,
yeah,
no. And do you think
yes,
that's something that you've realized over time that it's not really a matter of how hard you try to connect with somebody, it's just a difference of personality sometimes?
yes, for sure. I feel like also I don't know, sometimes there's just this clash of personalities, but I feel like both sides can feel it sometimes, which then I'm a little bit I don't know, I wonder like, oh well, there's many there are many other teachers, like why are we still here? Not really, you know. I appreciate everyone, but I feel like with some people there's this level of really like having like a blast, you know, every time. With some people it's more of like a chore. I have to do this. But that's completely, yeah, it's just normal. It's just like in every other um yeah, realm of life, but definitely is something I noticed. And my I feel like my performance sometimes, this shouldn't happen, but maybe it's not, but in my head sometimes I feel like I'm a better teacher when I connect with the
Okay.
student. Maybe that's just like subjectively how I feel,
I think so.
because of the yeah, because of like after the class, like how I feel, right? Positive. um Maybe when it's just like one of these classes that I have to do, it's kind of like, ah, okay, and then I just feel like that. um but yeah, maybe it is something not objective, just
Yeah,
like
for
in my
sure.
head. Yeah,
For sure. And like you said, I mean, that can happen everywhere. I
yeah,
don't suppose that teaching is somehow immune to, oh, now we're
yes,
friends with everybody.
yes.
Definitely not. I mean, there are people that you vibe with and people that you don't necessarily. So,
Yeah, but I guess it is surprising with how many people I actually really enjoy having classes with,
right?
like crazy. It might be like with some people just because I would feel like, oh, we could go for a cup of coffee, and I would be like,
Right.
great, speaking with you like 4 hours, you know?
Yeah,
With some
right.
people, it's on a different level. Like maybe we wouldn't go out for a coffee, but I really enjoy the way I'm teaching you and the way that
Yeah.
you are learning. You know, I feel like we vibe on like that level. My tempo is good for you. Your tempo is good for me.
Right.
Yes, maybe something like that. Yeah.
You've noticed that there are different types of connections with people.
Yes,
Definitely.
for sure.
Definitely. And
Yeah.
have you noticed that it also, I want to move us slightly into a bit of a different focus. Have you noticed that it maybe depends on, like you said, how much you or the type of connection that you have with somebody? Do you notice that it also depends on the language that you're currently speaking? If it's predominantly English, or in your case, if it's predominantly Croatian, do you notice that there is a different type of connection that you can establish based on the language that you're speaking?
Huh. Do you mean what their native language is, or just the language that we're speaking in
Just
the
what you're
classroom?
speaking. Yeah.
Well, honestly, not really. From my side, no. But maybe because maybe for the other student it does mean it has some differences. Of course, like if I have, I don't know, like upper intermediate level, if in some other language, it would be different than speaking in my native language. But this way, it's kind of, I honestly don't notice some differences. I only notice the differences in what their native language is compared to the language that they're trying to learn. But as far as this, I don't really. Do you?
I do. I do,
Mm.
and not just in teaching and connections, but I've noticed that with basically every part of my life, that
Mm.
I become a different person when I
Mm.
speak English, and I'm a completely different person when I speak Polish. And this is something that I've started realizing over time, really, because I think it's very difficult to really evaluate that in yourself. But then looking at how other people react to you, and even purposefully asking them, hey, what do you think of my personality? And then seeing, just complete opposites in those two languages was really that wow moment for me that, okay, it really does matter and it really does make a difference. And I
Wow.
found it really interesting because in English, I feel like the people that I connect with, or at least the way that I speak, is more open, outgoing, and it's more of this positive vibe, versus Polish, I feel like as a language in general is more, maybe not melancholic, but it's a more of a stricter language, perhaps. And I feel like it definitely changes the tone of the connection. But like you said, only if it's the other person's native language as well, because if they're learning Polish, then most of the time they're English speakers. And so that
Yes.
connection is mostly in English at the beginning,
Yes,
especially. But if it's Polish to Polish, then it's a completely different vibe than English to English, I noticed, which is very interesting because, I mean, it's not really something that, oh, well, obviously this is going to happen, but it was more of a, oh, wow, this is happening kind of moment. So
Wow,
I
yeah.
have definitely noticed that.
I heard of that a lot. But me personally, I've not really felt it yet, but I kind of want to because
Okay.
uh but
I'm missing out.
I feel like those things, yeah, exactly, like FOMO. Yeah, but I feel like these things happen when you have an like a really high level in a language that you learned, uh mm, which is then curious for me that I hear that you in English, because you lived in Australia for a long time, right? Yes, and then oh, I can't hear you now. Or
No?
okay, now I can.
Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect.
Okay, now it's fine. So you lived in Australia for a long time. Polish is your native language, so they're kind of on the same level, but you feel like you have different personalities with them, but I don't feel like I have that different of a personality in Croatian and in English.
Okay.
Actually, there's only one thing. I feel like in Croatian I curse way more.
Personal fun
Truly.
fact.
No, it's just
Okay.
incredible. I'm like on a somewhere with a friend. I'm like, what am I saying? I need to stop, truly.
Hold your horses. Okay.
Yeah, hold your horses, exactly. Uh
Oh,
in
interesting. Okay.
yes, in English, it's a bit more toned down. Just because I feel like curse words in English are very bland, truly. So
Boring.
bland,
Yeah,
so boring. My
true,
God. But
true.
yes, in Croatian it's a different story, but that's like the only difference I really noticed. One other thing is I'm learning, for example, I'm learning Spanish now. And I don't have like a very good level. I can speak to people and I try to um like no problem, right? But I am way more timid just because I'm trying, to sound good, but also when I have my good days and I'm really like, no, 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 you won't do this now, right? You're gonna
Yeah,
try. That's when I feel like I'm really goofy because I would say like words just because I want to practice these words. So I would feel like I'm,
yeah,
playing,
right.
but that those
Definitely
are yeah,
playing with that, sure.
those are the
And what
only
about
kind of
Portuguese? Because I see that you speak very good Portuguese as
yes.
well. Do you notice any of those personality differences?
Well, now my Portuguese has really declined horribly because I don't speak to any natives. That's the thing. That's the hard hard truth. So I haven't really gotten the chance to explore it. I have I've been to Portugal. I've done Erasmus there for 1 semester, but the thing was, I was there in 2021, and the whole thing with the pandemic was kind of at that moment in Portugal was a little bit iffy. I spent a lot of time with other students that were doing Erasmus, so there was 100% English, 0% Portuguese. Still, I would speak Portuguese at coffee shops and the store. That's pretty much it. And an occasional, yeah, Portuguese person or Brazilian or something, but I haven't really gotten the chance, really. That's kind of sad, but I hope I do.
Interesting. Okay. And
Hmm.
can you elaborate a little bit more, because we were talking about your English journey last time, but concerning your Spanish and your Portuguese, how did you get to those levels where you're at with those two languages?
With Portuguese and with Spanish.
Right.
Well, I would say they go together a lot because they are quite similar, right? So, because I learned, well, yeah, now it's at a worse level that it was, but Portuguese, I did at university, and after that, I started learning Spanish. I would say this last year. And Portuguese in the beginning, it really helped because it made things uh much quicker in the
Okay.
get-go. You are
Hmm.
not really, yeah, you're not really like learning I have, because it's really similar. Um so it really helped out a lot. That really pushed it into a good direction. So yes, but Spanish, I then was just watching a lot of YouTube. I found this amazing man. If anybody is trying to learn Spanish, they should watch Español con Juan. That man is incredible. He's
Okay.
the best language teacher I ever saw on YouTube. Truly
Why?
amazing, and quite funny, and just really good. So his videos helped me so much. Podcasts and
Why?
stuff
What do
like
you think
that.
was the deciding factor for him being the best?
He just does everything in context. He's being a goof, he just he's making up stories. He has like this like twin brother, he's like acting
Okay.
stuff out. He's just a goofball, but is also really, knowledgeable. He knows what
Okay.
are the kind of difficulties that Spanish students have. So he really focuses on those things. He focuses on two aspects, on like actually one problem, right, in one video, and he tries to solve them. He maybe says in the beginning, this is like one of the big things I think are
Hmm.
very good. He is trying to make the viewers, the students, try to understand let's say, the grammar rule before he actually tells you what the grammar rule is. So it's not, mm,
Okay.
yeah, so you are watching a 10-minute video of him speaking, of course, only in Spanish. He has not said a single word in in his like 7 years, I think he's done videos like that. It's all in Spanish. It's all in Spanish. You are watching him using these, let's say, two verbs that people mix up in the meaning. He is using these two verbs in different contexts, but it's all one video. And in the end, he's actually explaining you the rule. He's like, "Did you get it? But you for sure got it up until that point. You for sure."
Interesting.
He made
Okay.
it very clear. So
So then
that's
you're not
like
focusing
really
on,
good.
okay, this is the grammar rule, but Okay, this is how we use it, rather. Very
Yes,
nice.
exactly. You are more listening. You're truly like listening with focus because you're trying to understand what he is
Right.
saying, actually. But with that, you got some additional things like an explanation of how of a meaning of something, how do you use something in grammar, and yeah, just very good. Like that's the number one thing I would suppose. But also just his personality and everything is very it's very nice. He's like 70 plus and he has
Okay.
he's so energetic. So amazing man. Yeah, Español con Juan
Wonderful.
if anybody wants.
Okay.
Yeah, if anybody's
Okay.
wondering.
And how did you find that channel? Was it just a best, let's say, learning channel, or
I think
no?
so. I think so. I also have like a different account on YouTube for watching specifically videos in Spanish because that way the
Hmm.
algorithm also gives you just videos in Spanish. Yeah.
Clever.
Yeah, that's a good tip because then it's just easier for you. It's easier for everything.
Yeah.
Plus, you know
Okay.
that when you are on that account, you're for sure gonna watch something in Spanish, and you're not
Makes
gonna,
sense.
go to your videos that you would usually watch.
Yeah, go
Yeah.
down the rabbit hole of cat videos.
Yes, exactly.
Nice, perfect. Okay. And
Yeah.
what would you say were your biggest hurdles or biggest obstacles, whether that was English, if we come back to that, or if it was Portuguese, or if it was Spanish, or any of the other languages that you have, or maybe you were planning to learn, what would you say was the biggest problem, the biggest hurdle that you had to overcome in your journey?
I guess just being um just speaking. Everybody says this, but it's so true. Just speaking because when you have an idea of something you would like to say, you think, oh, maybe it's like it's not important because I'm not sure how I would say this. No, it is important. You just need to like react in every kind of way. For example, I was a little bit like self-conscious about, for example, if I was in a like Spanish speaking um like environment, let's say like in a bar with some friends and they're all speaking in Spanish, for example, I would be like, oh, I want to react, at least react like a native. I want to say like, oh, how nice, how crazy, oh my God, I cannot believe it. Like these types of
Right.
things, they're really useful to learn. But then you think, no, I want to sound like a native. But the thing is, like, you're not. You will sound eventually. Eventually, you will get there, but you are
Real
not.
path.
And I feel like yes. And I feel like you really have to like embrace the fact that you're not and be like, no, but this is cute, like I try to say it like that. Like me not knowing how to say this very well is cute, it's endearing, people like it, people like when you are learning their language, people really like it. So of course anyone. So I feel like that's a huge thing. You just have to like switch it to be like a nice part of your personality, Yes, definitely. Like a
Very
big
nice way of thinking
plus.
of it.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah, yeah.
Definitely. And
Yes,
I find that a lot of people struggle with that, especially I've noticed with English, not so much with Polish, which I find very interesting. But with
really.
English, everybody has the expectation that, okay, it's the global language. And if I don't speak it well, again, I'm stupid or I don't know anything, and into that line of thinking. But I find that people put so much more pressure on themselves for English versus with Polish, for instance, it's okay, well, like you said, I'm not a native and I'm learning and it's a difficult language, and everybody's going to be super excited if I just say hi, and that's already an achievement. So
Yeah,
I feel like there are
yes.
very different levels of those expectations that people have for themselves, whether it's a hobby language That, okay, I'm just going to, I don't know, go to Costa Rica, for example, and, spend a week there versus, okay, I need this for my job, then a slightly different level of, okay, what do I expect of myself even? So, but it's an interesting point, like you said. I mean, you can try, and of course, it's a very nice goal to strive towards, to speak as well as you can and as clearly as you can, and use as many phrasal verbs and so on and
Yes.
so on. But the reality is that you're not, and I suppose not kidding yourself that, okay, I know that I'm not, but what can I do nonetheless to get better?
Of
Sure.
course, of course. But exactly what you said, it's different when you're doing that for a hobby versus for a job, which exactly is literally the thing about English. It's the language you need to know in this day and age, really professionally speaking, if you want to yeah, upscale, like in any kind of way. People are looking for English. It's like if they're looking for a language, they're looking for English. So that's, yeah, that's why there's so many people that are learning it, because they want to evolve in that field, in anything. But yeah, people really require it a lot, especially especially like people who are yeah, not millennials, let's say, like older than that. They're like, oh my God, well, I don't know how to speak English, and everybody that's younger than me knows how to speak English, and
Yeah.
really good English. That's like a big like punch to their self-esteem as well. They just feel like, oh, well, I don't know anything, but my son knows how to, like, can watch movies without subtitles. I'm like, but yeah, but it's normal. He's on TikTok every day for 7 hours. What else do you expect? Yeah, completely normal.
Pretty much. But it's very interesting that you mentioned that, because I had that basically exact same experience when I was in Croatia,
Really?
because we were driving from Poland to Greece, and we were driving through Croatia because we wanted to do the scenic drive, and
Uh-huh.
we were driving through some of the mountains, and we stopped to check our map, and we we turned off the engine in the car, and then, okay, we're checking the map, whatever, and then we want to turn it back on, and it's not turning back on, and we're in the middle of nowhere, like, okay, well, wonderful. But fortunately we stopped in front of a house, and
Okay.
so we went there, we knocked on the door, and this he told us, or well, he wrote in a piece of paper that he was 86 years old. And then we thought, you
Wow.
know what, well, good thing that you're here and you're gonna save us. Basically. But like you said, I mean, English non-existent whatsoever. Hello, who? So
Yeah.
our only rescue was Polish, which is fortunately
Ah,
similar
well,
enough.
thank God. Yes,
I
great.
found that not as similar as I thought.
It's
Honestly,
really
that was a
not,
bit of a
actually.
surprise.
Yeah.
I thought, you know
Yeah.
what, yeah, good enough, we're gonna make it, but no.
Yes, I mean,
So
to be fair,
basic word
I
here and
don't
there.
understand. Yeah, yeah, I don't understand Polish. I think that Polish speakers can understand Croatian better than we can understand Polish.
Oh,
Um,
interesting. Okay.
I think so. Yeah, I think that's the general like experience. But yeah, they're quite different. But also, if there's nothing else, great, super similar, right? Can save the
Exactly.
day
In
for
that
sure.
circumstance, the best.
Yes. Yes. So
And it was
similar.
exact same thing that, oh, I'm
Slav
gonna call my
brothers.
grandson and he's going to talk to you because he knows English. I'm like,
Oh, that's
awesome.
very nice. So he did help you in the end.
He did. And actually, very conveniently, I don't remember if it was his grandson or his grandson's friend that's a mechanic in the area. And we
Ah,
thought,
yeah.
bless you.
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah. You
So
should
we got
always know a
saved.
mechanic.
I think
Here you
so.
should always know a mechanic. Yeah, that's great. That's great.
Honestly, through that whole trip, we met like three mechanics, and
Oh
all
no.
across the way. So if you need any help in that particular mountain in Croatia, I know somebody.
Yeah, I should first call you, not anybody else.
Basically,
Wow.
yeah.
Mm.
But so coming back to how many languages you can speak, what is your motivation for that? What's your, yes, I want to do that. Yes, I want to continue. What's your push?
I don't know. I just really like languages. I think it's
Yeah,
sometimes that simple.
yeah, definitely.
Like I really like comparing. I really like I really like that aha moment. Definitely, definitely. I don't know. Yes, I just really like the nature of what language is. Like language is the most incredible thing we have. Like
It is.
as humans, truly. And words are so powerful. And yeah, I think just that, honestly. It's just sometimes as that simple. I don't even think that much about well, now I do a little bit more about, for example, being really like embedded into a community, like a new community that's really special, like through language, because
Yeah,
that's also just bringing me back to like how beautiful it is, because you will never truly understand like a new culture that you're in. Let's say that you
yeah,
move to I don't know where I want to go, to Bulgaria. Like with you not learning Bulgarian, what exactly what kind of experience do you have exactly? You have a very different experience.
oh yeah,
You're just an expat there, truly
very much.
so different than if you were to have Bulgarian in your life every day. You learn, you just pick up on more stuff, more and more stuff the better you get. You're like, oh, you're talking about that food that's really like traditional. I had no idea. Or
Yeah,
yeah, I think just stuff like that. It's really hard to connect otherwise. Really hard. The other person has to have a super high like level in whatever language you have in common.
yeah,
uh so high to be able to really like have a super deep connection. That's why I read like recently somebody was talking about like the importance of you speaking your mother tongue to your child, like how actually important that is, because your deepest deepest like ways of how you convey feeling is really the best in, of course, your native language. It's You could have known like English since you were 5, but it is different. It's different. It's just the language that you were grown up with, the language that your mom was saying I love you to you, you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
It's always like that. So I found that
Yeah,
very
fascinating.
very beautiful. I was like,
Okay,
that's so nice. Yeah.
that's a fun fact.
Yes. And
Okay.
what about you? Like, how did you start with like languages, teaching
Sure.
languages and
I was born in Poland, of course, and I lived there until I was about 10. And then my family moved to the UK,
Mhm.
where I could say hello, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, essentially. So that was that big, punch in the face of, okay, reality, hi, that
Wow.
I do not know how to speak to you, and you cannot clearly speak to me either. So the beginnings, and I remember this very, very vividly. I had this little red dictionary with me at all times. And it
Oh.
was this, okay,
Oh,
essentially was my communication. And the classes were very interesting as well, because I remember one, and this was the first class that I had. It was science, and they were learning about volcanoes. And the teacher drew a volcano on the board, and I was sitting there like I understood everything. So, as you
oh,
might
but that's so
imagine, my
nice.
favorite class was maths because I understood everything.
Why didn't you become a math teacher? What is this?
Right? Plot twist.
Plot twist,
But
yeah.
so, yes, the beginnings were a little rough.
Mm.
And then we moved to Australia. And that got, slightly better because I read a lot. I would spend basically all of my time all day, every day reading. And at the beginning, it was a bit of a surreal experience because I was looking at the words and I was looking at the pages, but I didn't understand everything. But
Oh,
whatever, I'll just continue reading. This is fine. And and then at
but
some point, it was just like I think through the outside input of it, some of the, contextual situations of, oh, okay, I think I know what you're saying to me, and maybe I've heard that before, and your tone of voice, and then maybe, oh, some of the words that I've read in that book and that other book. And I feel like that connection of everything and really putting in that conscious effort into, okay, I don't really want to continue doing this, then that kind of progression of, okay, getting really terrible grades in English and horrible presentations. And I remember one of the first presentations I gave in my school in Australia, the teacher pulled me aside at the end and he was like, I don't think this is your thing. Like, oh, clearly it
oh
is not.
no. Oh
So
no.
yeah, that was not
How
super
encouraging.
encouraging. Right. Right.
My
So
God. You're like,
beginnings were
you
not
really
super
are
fun,
not
but
fit for this. Thank you. I feel so
right.
motivated now.
Exactly. So it was more of a, okay, well, I don't know anybody, I can't speak to anybody, let's do something about this. So that was my really, like you said, that reality of being able to communicate with somebody while being in that particular country, which in my case was Australian and English. But like you said, like what you were saying with Bulgaria, right? That, I mean, you can be there, you can look at the pretty birds and so on, but you're not really there.
Yeah.
And so I think that was that moment that, okay, all right, this really cannot continue this way. So that's where that whole path, I suppose, started. And then I suppose being there in that environment was a very big help, that I could listen to somebody every single day, and I had to say something in the classroom, and I had to write my assignments, and I had to
Of
do my
course.
homework. So I think that push was also very positive.
Of
But
course.
like you said, that want to meet people, that want to understand what's going on around me, I would say that was a very big motivator in,
Mhm.
okay, now I know what's happening, now I know what I'm doing. And I suppose that looking back at it, and I think this was that pivotal moment in my life where, okay, this is something that I could help other people with, right? So that they don't really have to go through that whole
Yeah.
entire, charade of, hand gestures and so on. But I can
Yes.
be that guide for other people to get where they want to be with their language, whether they can speak a little bit, or if they're already, let's say, upper intermediate and they just want to really polish their language. Wherever I suppose you are, then you have some struggles that I could potentially help you with.
Yes, and you've been through all of that. But the thing that's most like wow to me, you were what, 10 and you were reading books intentionally. Wait, you were
Yes.
just like reading books to learn English. That's quite admirable. I think that's incredible
Thank
because
you.
what the hell? Amazing.
Yeah.
But that's another thing, like reading, my God, it's so helpful. It's so
You read
helpful,
a lot?
but I like, yeah, you can see my
Yeah,
shelves
yeah.
here. You can see my shelves here, but I was just thinking about like specifically for learning a language. Um Sometimes I feel like it could be really discouraging when you have a book and you don't know what's going on. So that's
Yeah.
really incredible that you just you pushed through it. But that's the whole like idea around it. You just finish it. You just finish a chapter. Okay, you finished a chapter. Let's go further. But another thing now that is amazing, that is everywhere, well, pretty much for every language, for some more difficult to find, is these like books that are specifically for language learners.
Right.
So they are adapted to a certain level, and these are really helpful because they are intentionally, let's say, teaching you a range of vocabulary. They kind of repeat it through one chapter to another in different contexts, and you really learn like super fast with that. And also it's quite gratifying
Yeah.
because you can actually read these things. Like if you were a really like big like literature fan, and but I also want to learn, I don't know, French, and I go
Right.
and like, oh, Proust, like, how nice. Let me read. No, it's not nice. It's really not nice because you don't understand everything, like anything. So that's the thing. But now it's quite available actually. Um, and that's what I started doing for Spanish, for example, and it's super helpful. So nice. Definitely reading.
Okay.
Wow. But this, you being 10 years old and like reading books in English just amazes me. Truly.
I've always loved reading.
Yeah, yeah. I'm the studious type.
But which is actually true. I always really liked reading books. I remember, I don't know how old I would have been, maybe 7
Uh-huh.
or something like that. I had
Wow.
this favorite fairy tale book,
Mhm.
and it was getting sickening to everybody around me, but I would just, read it. Like, okay, now I read it, and 20 minutes later, okay, let's read it again, and okay, let's read
Uh-huh.
it again. And it was like, why are you still reading the same book? You've read it like
Of
100
course.
times, but oh, it's so
Mhm.
good.
I know.
Just that one
Yes.
single book over and over.
Oh yes, I also have like a memory of one specific book,
Yeah.
and one specific, it was actually stories from around the world, but they were also kind of like fairy tales and for young children, right? But I remember one specific one from Australia. That was like the first one
Okay.
where a boy was became a koala because he was so lazy. Like everybody in his village, they were like, "You're so lazy, you're so lazy." And so one day he just like became a koala. It was such a crazy story, but then he got changed back to a boy. It's all fine. It was all
Yeah,
fine in the
cute,
end.
nice.
Yes.
Oh, so interesting. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah,
But actually
definitely.
what you were talking about with these books specifically for learners, that reminded me of I actually saw English translated books, and more specifically from that literature language. I remember there was one that I saw from Shakespeare, and you had, I don't know if it was Romeo and Juliet, but I guess it doesn't really matter, that you had one page of what he had originally wrote in this, thou shalt not art and so on. And then on the other page, it just had regular English. And
Yes.
that was so incredibly helpful because you're reading through it and you're like, I know this is English, but I don't really think it is.
Yes, yes,
And then on the
yes.
other hand, so that's what you're saying.
Yeah,
So that's
incredible.
super helpful.
Definitely. You can definitely find like all kinds of things that could help you out. Even things that you don't expect, but you're always kind of like, how could this help me? And then you're like, oh, it actually can. There's so many things.
Right.
Yes,
Definitely. I suppose just
definitely.
being open to what's available.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Yes.
Definitely.
Also feel like some people push a certain way of learning onto other people. Like let's say you need to listen to a lot of podcasts or something, but
Right.
let's say somebody prefers like something else, you know? It's
Right.
truly it's truly like whatever, but yeah, some people are just like then, oh, okay, I guess I will, but are not really enjoying it.
Yeah.
Or
And then it's not
have
really
you
that
heard
helpful.
yes, or have you heard like the you should look up the news. Like I don't want to read the
The
news.
news.
The news. The
Yeah.
always forever depressing news. Yeah, you should look that up and, and learn English.
Yeah. Motivate yourself. Sure.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yes. Oh my God.
True. True. Well, I have one parting question.
Mhm.
What is the one thing that you would really love your students to know, but you will never ever tell them face to face?
What? Oh my God, that's a really difficult question. One thing that I really want them to know. Oh, you know
You don't
what? I'm
never tell
super.
them.
Oh, I don't know. I'm quite transparent, sometimes a little bit too. I just like say
Okay.
everything. Um, oh my God, I really honestly, like, I wish I had like a super cool answer, but I have no idea. I feel like with some people, like the how much I can say, I do, you know? Truly. Like for some people,
Okay.
this might not like mean anything. So I don't say it. But with some people that I know I can tell them this, I just say it. So but specifically about me or what? A
No,
specific
generally, whether about language
general.
learning or about maybe the language that you're teaching or about
Mm,
teaching as a profession.
mm, mm. I don't know. I guess it could be that you know sometimes I just get sometimes this is really rare, but sometimes I want to there's been like maybe 2 or 3 times I really wanted to yell at somebody, but they were being disrespectful, okay?
Okay.
They were really being disrespectful. I feel like I have this I have quite like a temper that I really throughout the years I have zero problem with it now, but when you do something really rude or act a really rude way, especially well, this is an issue with teenagers most of the time.
Oh,
I truly just I have a lot of compassion for them, but also I sometimes have this need to be just like, listen to me, you know, being a little bit like I don't want to say aggressive, but like there is no other way for me to convey this, you know? I truly want to say you are being rude, but I feel like sometimes it's not worth the trouble, sometimes it's not nice, and I just never do it, of course. But
let it
I
go.
just sometimes want to put them in their place. Sometimes, yeah, that's the thing. Sometimes I want to put people in their place, but you know, it's not really the way to go about things.
Taking the
So
high road.
yeah, oh my God, so difficult.
No,
I guess that
totally.
would be the thing. And what about you?
For me, sometimes it's really wanting to tell somebody that they are responsible for themselves. And I have some experiences where it's like, okay, well, I didn't do my homework and I didn't practice and I didn't do any of those things that you asked me to. Why am I not getting better? And I just,
Mm-hmm.
it's on you.
Mm.
Unfortunately, I mean, I can give you my all and I can share my life secrets with you, but if you don't follow through with them, then there's not really that much that I can do besides
Mm-hmm.
that. So I suppose that, you're here for yourself and you are responsible for yourself. Not like you said, not very often, but it does happen sometimes.
Interesting, but what do you say then? Because I feel like I would say that, honestly. I feel like I would say that I've had those situations, but only I would say only with kids. So
Mhm.
their parents would be the ones who would be like, "Oh, well, he got like 2 Fs." And I would be like, "Oh, hey, listen. Um ultimately he's the one who unfortunately needs to, I don't know, learn like 30 new words a week. That's a lot. It's the
Yeah,
school like system problem. Eventually just ultimately the thing that I can do I already did. That's it.
right.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I feel like I do say that it's important to I don't. So yeah, what do you say then in if you wish you could say that but you don't?
Okay.
What is the alternative here?
I turned the question rather to them that,
Uh-huh.
okay, well, so you're choosing, I mean, if you're an adult, you're consciously choosing not to do these things. So what do you think can help you, or what do you think is going to get you where you want to go? If these are not these things, then tell me, maybe there's something else that I can give you. Maybe there's another exercise that we can try. Maybe we can do different things. I understand that I don't know everything, right? I don't know what I don't know. So
Of
tell me if
course.
there is something that you're thinking, and if there's something that we can work on in a different way. And most of the time then it works out that, yes, okay, you're right, and I should do these things, and I know that I should, but I'm lazy and I don't. And okay,
Yes. Oh,
well,
that's
that
quite
happens.
a elegant way to go around it. Yes, really. No, but it's super useful. Yeah, actually for them to being like a little bit like, oh yeah, actually how?
Yeah.
Yes, how can I be better? Or
Right.
like maybe I should do my homework actually.
Hmm.
Yeah, that would be cool, maybe.
Right.
Hmm.
So
Yes, great.
hopefully you can make use of that. Let me know how that goes.
Yes, yes, yes. I would love to try.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, it was a pleasure. It was very nice talking with you today, and thank you very much
Yes,
for your time.
you too. I feel like we've covered a lot of ground.
I think so
Yes,
too. I think
yes.
so too.
Okay.
All
Thank
right.
you too. Yes, it was
Thank
very
you.
nice.